Chapter 837. Thank you for giving her a place to belong. To be honest, ever since she came back, I've been feeling very guilty. Song Wuyo said all this to provoke Migu. She hoped that Migu would treat Huang Ling well in the beginning for her sake, and then gradually fall in love with Huang Ling and give her true happiness and love without any deception. Migu's eyes were deep. I married Huang Ling because she has a kind heart. What she said to me tonight made me see her in a new light. Song Wuyo heard and smiled lightly. That's good. Actually, Huang Ling is not bad. Because she had the memories left behind by Huang Ling, she understood Huang Ling. Although she was arrogant in the past, she was not a bad person. I also believe in my judgment. After hanging up the phone, Migu drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. His eyes were filled with endless sadness and heaviness. Wuyo, I became the president for you. I hope to be stronger than Ah Ho. I married Huang Ling for you. I hope you don't have to feel guilty. As long as Huang Ling is happy, you won't feel guilty. You can live a happy life with Ah Ho wholeheartedly. Wuyo, I've guarded for 1,000 years for you. Although, in this life, I still can't have you. Perhaps it was because she went to bed early last night. Huang Ling woke up very early. After washing up and changing into a beautiful dress, she sat down with Lu Fengfeng for breakfast. When Lu Fengfeng heard that she was not going to work at the bar, she was very happy. No mother would want to see her daughter work in a place that was not very safe. I don't have to go to work today. Accompany mom out to relax. Lu Fengfeng and Huang Ling were eating dumplings. Lu Fengfeng's dumplings were very delicious. Whether it was for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Huang Ling liked to eat them. No, I have an appointment. Huang Ling smiled mysteriously. Lu Fengfeng's eyes lit up as she looked at Huang Ling expectantly. You have a new boyfriend. Huang Ling frowned in dissatisfaction. Mom, can't you remove the word new? What new boyfriend? You make it sound like I often have boyfriends. Bah, bah, bah. Lu Fengfeng was embarrassed. It's my fault, my fault. When I think of your boyfriend, I can't help but think of Zhang Dong. It was a slip of the tongue. I'll pay attention in the future. I have to change. Of course. What Zhang Dong? I can't even remember what he looks like. It's good that you forgot. Huang Ling, do you really have a boyfriend now? Huang Ling pretended to be calm. Let's look around and see if they're suitable for you to check at home. You know each other from working at a bar. A man who often went to drink should not be very manly. If you have time to drink every night, why don't you use this time to go home and accompany your wife? That's because he doesn't have a wife. This has nothing to do with whether he has a wife or not. Anyway, if he's addicted to alcohol, you'd better be careful. Don't be fooled. Mom, don't worry. This must be a good man. Huang Ling smiled. Lu Fengfeng pursed her lips and looked at Huang Ling. You're praising him in front of Mom so quickly. It seems that you two have a deep relationship. Tell me, have you slept together? When Huang Ling heard that, she almost spat out the dumpling in her mouth. She didn't spit it out, but she choked. She coughed a few times in pain before she slowly calmed down. She glared at Lu Fengfeng. Mom, what are you thinking? Do we have to sleep together when we're dating? Mom is afraid that you'll be fooled. Don't worry. I'm still a virgin. Chapter 838. Don't worry. I am still a virgin. Huang Ling said. She did not have any memories of the original owner of the body. The original owner's boyfriend, Zhang Dong. She had no impression of him at all. She went to the hospital for a checkup and found out she was a virgin. Very good. The original owner of the body was a clean and honest girl. This was the same as her. Hee hee. That's good. Huang Ling, listen to me. Those who are in a relationship and say they don't care if you are a virgin and use all sorts of excuses to seduce you to bed are not good men. Which man will not mind his wife's ex-boyfriend? Don't sleep with him until the night of the wedding, do you understand? Lu Fengfeng taught her earnestly. Huang Ling nodded. I know. She wanted to sleep with Migu before the wedding, but he was not willing. So. Mom, don't worry. No, don't worry. After breakfast, Huang Ling took the initiative to clear the dishes and let Lu Fengfeng rest. At around 8:30 am, Huang Ling received a call from Migu. He was waiting for her downstairs. Huang Ling hung up the phone and went back to her room to take out her bag. She happily said to Lu Fengfeng, who was arranging flowers in a vase. Mom, I am going out. Lu Fengfeng was surprised. Your boyfriend asked you out so early. Shouldn't it be better to go out at night? It was fine in the morning. But it was too dangerous to go on a date at night. Yes. Huang Ling smiled as she left the room. Lu Fengfeng saw Huang Ling closing the door and straightened her back. What did her daughter's boyfriend look like? Was he a tycoon? Would he give others the impression that he was a playboy or a hedonistic young master? Should she secretly follow her to see what was going on? With this thought in mind, Lu Fengfeng immediately took action and secretly followed him. But she was too late. When she came out, Huang Ling had already entered the lift. She could only wait for the lift to reach the ground floor. The Bugatti, which had been parked downstairs in her apartment building, had already left. She saw Huang Ling get into the Bugatti. Lu Fengfeng stood there, staring at the Bugatti in a daze. It was a luxury car. A man who could drive such a car must have a good family background. It's just that. I don't know this man's appearance and character. Sigh, I hope my daughter is happy and won't be cheated by others. In the car. As the driver, Migu easily and skillfully controlled the steering wheel. He glanced at Huang Ling with a faint smile. The swelling on your face has gone down. Huang Ling smiled and said, but there are still fingerprints. When Migu heard this, he turned to look at her. I can't tell. In order to make it look better in the photos later, I specially put on powder. Not a bad idea. You're so handsome. My looks have to keep up with yours. Have you told Auntie? No, I'll give her a surprise when the time comes. Give her a call and ask her to prepare more ingredients. I want to eat the dishes she made herself. Huang Ling nodded and was surprised. You want to eat the dishes she made herself? Migu smiled gently. Let's see if my mother-in-law's cooking skills are good. If it's good, I'll invite her to my house and cook for me every day. What if it's not good? I'll ask the chef to teach her. Don't you have servants in your house? Mother-in-law's cooking is the best. I'll feel at ease and happy eating. Actually, this was Migu's excuse to bring Lu Fengfeng to his house. After Huang Ling was his wife, Lu Fengfeng was his mother-in-law. She could be considered as half a mother. He had to be filial to his mother, right? Besides, his house was so big. There were plenty of places to live. Chapter 839. More importantly, once they moved in, Qingwan Duo wouldn't do anything to them. I don't know what your taste is, but I think my mom's cooking skills are really good. I love her home-cooked dishes the most. Give her a call and tell her to prepare the food village. Make it sumptuous and treat it as a wedding banquet for us. No problem. Since your excellency has spoken, this little girl doesn't dare to disobey. Huang Ling chuckled, took out her phone and dialed Lu Fingfing's number. Mom, are you going out to buy groceries? I'm preparing, what's wrong? Buy more, Huang Ling glanced at Migu. My boyfriend said that he wants to come to our house for lunch. He wants to try his mother-in-law's cooking. No problem. Huang Ling, ask him if there's anything he likes to eat. Mom will make it for him. Huang Ling looked at Migu. My mom asked you, do you have any favorite food? I'm not picky. I like to eat anything that tastes good. Migu curled his lips and looked straight ahead. Although he was listening to Huang Ling on the phone, he was driving very seriously. Mom, your son-in-law is not picky about food. He likes to eat everything. You can decide for yourself. Io, son-in-law. It seems that I really have to take a look at this son-in-law. Huang Ling, no matter what, you have to bring him back for lunch. Got it. Since he took the initiative to speak, he won't stand you up. Huang Ling laughed. That's good. I have to hurry to the market. If I'm late, I won't be able to buy fresh ingredients. Lu Fengfeng hung up the phone. Auntie seems very happy. The carriage was very quiet. Even without turning on the loudspeaker, Migu could still hear what the other party said, and it was very clear. That's right. She's very concerned about me. Migu turned his head and looked deeply at Huang Ling. It's very fortunate to have a mother's care. Yes, but with my understanding of her, her care and concern will soon be transferred to you. Migu smiled warmly. Are you sure? The more the mother-in-law looked at her son-in-law, the more she liked him. In the end, she forgot about her own daughter. Huang Ling, it's getting more and more interesting to chat with you. Migu said sincerely. I'm very happy that you think so. At least, it won't be awkward for us to get along in the future. Huang Ling's eyes lit up and she smiled. I won't. It wouldn't be awkward. At this moment, Migu's phone rang. He used his Bluetooth earpiece to answer the call. Huang Ling couldn't hear what the other party was saying, but looking at Migu's expression, she knew that something bad had happened. This was because his warm and smiling expression had suddenly turned dark and solemn the moment he heard the call. He only responded to the other party with and didn't say anything else. He seemed to be listening to her very carefully. Huang Ling also felt a heavy airflow in the carriage. She looked at Migu a little nervously. This time, it wouldn't be like the last time, where he had an emergency and left her behind, right? Alright, I got it. I'm driving, I'll hang up first. After hanging up the phone, Huang Ling pursed her lips slightly. Her heart was inexplicably nervous, and her heart was in her throat. She was a little afraid when she heard him say that there was an emergency and that they could get married another day. After about 2 minutes, the car was still moving forward, and the speed was even faster. Migu saw that Huang Ling was staring at him, and he couldn't help but turn his head and look at her. With this look, he saw that she was a little nervous and didn't know how to hide her fear at all. He asked curiously, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Chapter 840. Did something urgent happen and you need to deal with it? Huang Ling asked instead of answering. Migu and Weo smiled. The president is like this. He has to deal with a lot of things every day. Sometimes, he can't help himself. Is he really that busy? Then why is Qing Jinqin so free? He even had time to frame this person and frame that person. Qing Jinqin wants his own benefits. I want the whole country to be good. It's good to have a president like you in K country. Unfortunately, I haven't invented a medicine that can completely cure the heavenly thunder disease. I believe you can do it. Huang Ling cheered him on. You're afraid because I have something urgent. You don't think that I'll leave you behind again, do you? Magoo asked, amused. Huang Ling boldly admitted, of course, every woman is afraid of being abandoned at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Magoo looked at her deeply. I won't. I've learned to weigh the pros and cons. When Huang Ling heard this, she pursed her lips and felt a little bitter in her heart. So, the emergency just now had nothing to do with Wuyo. If it had something to do with it, he would have left her behind, right? So, national affairs were important to him, but Wuyo was more important to him. She turned her head and glanced at Magoo. Pursing her lips, she looked out of the window. The car stopped. They had already arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. The two of them got out of the car. Magoo and Huang Ling walked side by side into the Civil Affairs Bureau. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the director was waiting for them. Seeing them enter, the director was respectful to Magoo and even respectfully addressed Huang Ling as Madam. They took a photo first. When the photo was out, they signed it. After the photo was out, they stuck it on the certificate, stamped it, and left the Civil Affairs Bureau. From entering to exiting, it only took 10 minutes. Even the photo was developed at the fastest speed. Magoo and Huang Ling each held a marriage certificate. Back in the car, Huang Ling, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, held her marriage certificate in both hands and stared blankly at the two people in the wedding photo. She was a little dazed and confused. She was married. Regardless of whether Magoo loved her or not, their photos were already pasted on the wall. The two of them sat together for the photo, with some distance between their shoulders. The smiles on their faces were very faint, as if they were smiling faintly. Luckily, Magoo's wedding photos were quite handsome. He didn't seem to be reluctant or troubled. They were really married. Her name was written in his spouse column, and his name was written in his spouse column. From then on, they were legally married. Huang Ling sighed, I got married. In my previous life, I used Song Wuyo's identity to get a marriage certificate with Gu Yanhao. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Now that Magoo was married, her mood was so calm. She couldn't believe that she was married to the president of a country. A beautiful ringtone interrupted Huang Ling's thoughts. Huang Ling turned her head and looked at Magoo. Magoo was listening to the call through his Bluetooth headset. What? Okay, I got it. I'll go back right away. Prepare a private jet for me. After hanging up the phone, Magoo looked at the terrain. It would take some time to get back to Huang Ling's apartment from here. Then, from her apartment to the Mu estate, it would take a big detour. Is there an emergency? Huang Ling asked. It rained heavily last night in a city. Whether it was the city or the countryside, it was flooded. There were also houses that collapsed, and there were heavy casualties, Magoo said solemnly. Are you going to comfort the people personally? Huang Ling asked. Chapter 841. Okay. Magoo frowned. I'll send you home first, but I'm very sorry. I can't have dinner with my mother-in-law today. Huang Ling understood him. She could see the seriousness on his face. The car passed by a supermarket. There was a bus stop next to the supermarket. It was very easy to get a taxi there. Huang Ling stopped Magoo in time. Magoo, let me down here. I'll take a taxi back. You can save a lot of time and get to the south faster. You can also prepare more things. Magoo slammed on the brakes when he heard that. He turned sideways and looked at Huang Ling deeply. Huang Ling, thank you for being so reasonable. Huang Ling smiled. Now that I'm your wife, I have to understand your work. Since ancient times, which emperor has been idle? Unless it was a fatuous, perverted, or incapable emperor. Huang Ling unbuckled her seatbelt and said, "You have to be careful. The flood is merciless. This is a natural disaster. If you can save it, do it. If you can't, don't force it." After unbuckling her seatbelt, Huang Ling smiled gently at Migu. "I'll wait for you in M City. You have to go to my mother's house and take me to the Mu estate." Migu smiled. "Okay, wait for me." Huang Ling didn't say anything more. She didn't want to waste his time. She opened the door and got out of the car. After she got out of the car, Migu didn't waste any time. He drove directly to the Mu estate. He didn't think of bringing Huang Ling back to the estate for the time being because he wouldn't be around for a while. He didn't know if she could adapt to life in the estate. Moreover, he didn't have time to deal with that woman, Cheng Wanduo. If she broke into the estate and saw Huang Ling, what if she did something bad to Huang Ling? Moreover, he wasn't ready to bring Huang Ling back to the Mu estate. Everyone knows this. Of course, it's sleeping. Huang Ling watched Migu's car leave. She was a little depressed. He didn't know if it was because she hadn't paid attention to international news like this before. Why did she feel that after Migu became the president, there were a lot of natural disasters in K country and that Migu's presidency was not going smoothly? Floods, heavenly thunder, plagues, just the heavenly thunder, plague alone was enough to keep him busy. Huang Ling clapped her hands and curled her lips. She still felt that his life on the ranch with the horses and sheep was more comfortable. Huang Ling didn't take a taxi back immediately. Instead, she went into the supermarket. She was on her period, so she needed more sanitary pads for the night. Moreover, she wanted to shop and buy some things alone. At the very least, she wanted to buy some beautiful clothes to celebrate her wedding. The air conditioner in the supermarket was on full blast. Walking in, it was very cool. However, Huang Ling's heart was a little hot. When she thought of the flood in the south, her heart felt especially uncomfortable. He hoped that this merciless flood could pass as soon as possible, and hoped that Migu's presidential career could go smoothly. She bought a small cake at the supermarket and sat on the chair, eating it slowly. Suddenly, she thought of Maupassant. During the few days when she was hospitalized, Maupassant had accompanied her. On the day she was discharged from the hospital, he bought a small cake for her. He said that it was to celebrate her leaving the depressing ward. That cake had the same taste as this cake. It was chocolate-flavored. That day in the ward, she and Maupassant ate the cake bite by bite. In front of her, he told her about the interesting things in the army. One day, when he went to the toilet, he heard a tearing sound. It was the sound of clothes being torn. He looked at the cubicle and thought that it was a gay man doing it. Chapter 842. He looked at the cubicle and thought that it was a gay man having sex with his friends. Therefore, with a dark face, he waited for the person inside to come out. After about 2 minutes, the cubicle door opened. He raised his eyebrows, and a look of surprise flashed past his eyes. He had just heard the sound of clothes being torn, and he came out so quickly. Then, a subordinate in a military uniform came out. When he saw Maupassant, he quickly bowed to him. "Good morning, Chief." But when he saw Maupassant's dark face and strange look, the subordinate was puzzled. "Chief, is there shit on my face?" Maupassant did not reply to him. Instead, he looked behind him. "Are you alone?" The subordinate was confused. "Chief, can't one cubicle only allow one person to use it?" "Oh, I heard the sound of clothes being torn, and I thought someone was having sex inside." "So, you are having sex with me?" The subordinate was shocked when he heard this. He quickly explained. "Chief, you misunderstood. I did not have sex, and I did not have sex. I was. The subordinate scratched his head embarrassedly and smiled awkwardly. I forgot to bring toilet paper, and I had to tear my pants off to wipe my butt. Oh, so that's how it is. Maupassant looked at the hand of the subordinate scratching his head. There is no shit on your face, but there is shit on your hands. Ah, ah, ah. The subordinate rushed to wash his hands and hair. Ha ha ha. Huang Ling, who was eating cake, could not help but laugh out loud when she thought of this joke. She loved to listen to the funny stories that Maupassant told her. She took out her phone and video chatted with Maupassant on WeChat. The phone rang for a long time before it was picked up. Wow! When Huang Ling saw Maupassant on her phone screen, she exclaimed. Brother Mo, you have a great body. Beside the swimming pool of the Scorpio base in Country L, Maupassant was only wearing a pair of swimming trunks. His upper body was bare, and he was holding a phone in one hand and a dry towel in the other, wiping his dripping hair. His figure was tall, strong but not burly. He was fit and sexy. Especially when there was hair on his chest. Huang Ling stretched out her hand like a perverted woman. I really want to touch your 8-pack chest. I really want to pluck your chest hair. I really want to draw your Apollo's belt. Ah, crazy woman. Maupassant smiled and threw the towel aside. He then sat cross-legged by the swimming pool and looked at Huang Ling on his phone. Are you outside alone? Yeah, I was eating cake and thought of you, so I sent you a video call, Huang Ling said. She pursed her lips and asked, Brother Mo, are you swimming alone? We are doing diving training. All the brothers are swimming. Where are those people? Maupassant moved the camera to the swimming area that was almost as big as the sea. They are all diving. Huang Ling chuckled and said, Are their figures as great as yours? Brother Mo, a man with muscles is a real man. A man without muscles looks so feminine. Brother Ling, be careful not to be slapped by a man without muscles. Maupassant smiled dotingly. Huang Ling stuck her tongue out at him. I only dare to say anything in front of you. Other men won't be able to hear my heartfelt words. Is it your birthday today? Maupassant asked. No. Huang Ling smiled mysteriously at him. Brother Mo, I am eating cake to celebrate. Guess what I am celebrating? Chapter 843. If it's not your birthday, then it must be a promotion and a raise. Maupassant stared at the girl on the phone intently. No, 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 I'm quitting. I'm not working at the bar anymore. Yes, quitting is good. Huang Ling pursed her lips and pretended to be poor. But I don't have money. I'll send you money every month. Huang Ling's eyes sparkled as she was overjoyed. Brother Mo, you're going to provide for me. Is there a problem with an older brother providing for a younger brother? No problem. Brother Mo, guess why I'm not working at the bar anymore? You're rich now. I'm going to provide for you. No, I was beaten up. The moment Maupassant heard that, he stood up immediately with a nervous expression. Beaten up? Where did he hit? Who hit you? Huang Ling imitated how Li Xinxin hit her and slapped herself twice before sitting back down. Just like that, I was hit on the face. It was last night. My face is so swollen that it doesn't look like me. The corner of my lips is cracked and bleeding. Huang Ling moved her mouth closer to the phone. Look, can you see the wound? When Maupassant saw the wound on the corner of her lips, his gaze turned sinister. Who hit you? Li Xinxin. Huang Ling replied casually, smart. You guessed it right. Maupassant's gaze turned extremely cold. That damned woman. Don't be angry anymore. I was eavesdropping on her conversation. In a fit of anger, she hit me. Maupassant looked at Huang Ling. What did you eavesdrop on? What else could it be? She and Cheng Wan Duo were planning how to frame Wuyo, kill Wuyo's daughter, and arrange for Wuyo to sleep with another man to make her infamous. In the end, she was abandoned by Gu Yanhao. Then, Li Xinxin pestered Gu Yanhao and made Gu Yanhao fall in love with her. Maupassant's gaze turned even colder when he heard that. His brown eyes glowed faintly as he stared at the phone. When she found out that I listened to them, Li Xinxin grabbed me and asked me if I slept with you. Brother Mo, I don't want to criticize you, but I think Li Xinxin is a psychopath. She likes Gu Yanhao, but she doesn't want you to have a girlfriend. I lied to her that we had slept together, and she was so angry that she slapped me. She even said that whatever she likes and whoever likes her, even if she can't get it or doesn't want it, it's still hers. She would rather throw it in the trash than give it away. A woman who said something like that must have a psychopath and a twisted mind. Brother Mo, listen to Brother Ling's advice. You should stay as far away from this kind of woman as possible. If you get together with her in the future and she gives birth to an abnormal child, what will you do? Besides, Li Xinxin isn't beautiful. She has a body but no brain, and her heart is dirty. Okay, I won't say any more. Your face is so dark. I can feel your anger even from a distance. It's so scary. Huang Ling chattered happily, but when she saw Maupassant's face on the phone screen, she could feel the coldness emanating from him. Especially that malicious gaze. It was sharp, malicious, and very scary. Huang Ling, you're courting death. Maupassant growled at the phone. Huang Ling's heart clenched. She pouted and looked like she was about to cry. I'm telling the truth. I'm not making things up to talk bad about Li Xinxin in front of you. As the saying goes, the onlooker sees the game clearly. Maybe I see Li Xinxin more clearly than you. Humph. You shouldn't have provoked her. You're in danger if she targets you. You damn woman, do you want me to be worried to death? I can't always be by your side to help you suppress that psychopath. Ah. Chapter 844. Ha. The moment Huang Ling heard that, she was stumped. You growled at me and said that I was courting death not because I was bad-mouthing Li Xinxin, but because you were worried about my safety. Maupassant's handsome face was dark. What do you think? Suddenly, Huang Ling's mood brightened up as she sniggered. You said that Li Xinxin was a perverted woman. You like perverted women. Maupassant's gaze turned warmer as he looked at Huang Ling deeply. Little brother Ling, you have to be careful. You've already said that you can see through Li Xinxin better than I can. You know that she's a dangerous woman. If you see her, you should take a detour. Why did you go up and provoke her? I wanted to take a detour, but I couldn't. I was discovered. You've already been discovered. What are you celebrating for? Are you a masochist? Maupassant said in a bad mood. You're the masochist. Give me a moment. Huang Ling placed her phone on the table and took out her marriage certificate from her bag. Placing it close to her phone's camera, she smiled happily. La 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 la. Brother Mo, look at this. Huang Ling's hands were trembling. Maupassant could not see it clearly as he raised his brow. Property certificate. No. It's a marriage certificate. A country marriage certificate. The moment Maupassant heard that, it was as though he had been hit with a stick. Stunned, his gaze turned deep. What? Marriage certificate? Whose marriage certificate? Why did this brat suddenly get married? This news, for Maupassant, was a little blow. Of course, it's my marriage certificate, Huang Ling kept the marriage certificate properly before picking up her phone and looking at Maupassant with a smile. Maupassant looked at her with a sharp gaze and said sternly, "Don't joke with me. This joke isn't funny at all." "I'm not joking. I'm really married." "With who?" "Migu." Huang Ling put her mouth close to the phone and said softly. These two words were like a loudspeaker ringing in his ears. Maupassant heard them clearly. Maupassant was shocked and frowned. His mind suddenly went blank and he could only stare at the woman on the phone, not knowing what to say. Migu. She was married to Migu. He suddenly recalled how she had cried at the restaurant that time. Later, he investigated and found out that before he appeared, it was Migu who had accompanied her for dinner. Brother Mo. Huang Ling saw that he was only staring at her without saying anything, so she called out his name 3 times. Maupassant also came back to his senses when she called out Brother Mo 3 times. His eyes flashed and his sexy lips curled up. Congratulations, little brother Ling. You've married Migu and become Madam President. Brother Mo, I'm Madam President from now on. If you have any difficulties, you can look for little brother Ling. Huang Ling patted her chest and looked very loyal. Maupassant couldn't help but laugh. Come on. Other than being Madam President in name, you're nothing. She was always being bullied. How can you say that about me? Even if I'm that kind of person, you shouldn't say it directly. It's very hurtful. My mom is calling. I can't talk to you anymore. Then let's talk another day. Little brother Ling, your status is different now. You have to learn to be dignified and elegant. Don't be so rough. Yes. Understood. Brother Mo, goodbye. Huang Ling smiled and ended the video chat with Maupassant. Then, she quickly called Lu Fengfeng back. Lu Fengfeng, Huang Ling, can you come back early? Huang Ling, sure, I'll go back now. Chapter 845. Lu Fengfeng smiled. All right. After hanging up the phone, Huang Ling stopped eating the unfinished cake and went to pay the bill. Maupassant's slender figure stood stiffly by the large swimming pool. His brown eyes became extremely deep and sharp. Taking a closer look, one could see that there was a sense of loss in her eyes. That girl was actually married. Would she be happy marrying Migu? He knew that she would share everything with him. She was eating cake today and showing him her marriage certificate today. If he hadn't guessed wrongly, they had gotten their marriage certificate today. And she was the only one eating cake. Migu wasn't by her side. And what he saw on her face wasn't a happy smile because she was married to Migu, but because she was video chatting with him. Little brother Ling, why didn't you inform me before you got married? You and Migu are like heaven and earth. Would you be happy? How silly of you to get your marriage certificate. The thought of her being hit by Li Xinxin made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Li Xinxin, that woman, had actually turned a deaf ear to his words. She even dared to hit his little brother Ling very well. At this moment, Maupassant's face was already very gloomy. It was also at this moment that his subordinates who were diving at the bottom of the pool popped their heads out one after another. A second ago, the surface of the pool was still calm. But now, the water was rippling. Looking at the restless water, Maupassant's emotions seemed to be in a mess and fluctuating along with the water. His gaze turned cold and he suddenly became very violent. His gaze was malicious and sharp as he stared at them and shouted at them, "Who allowed you to come up? Continue diving for 2 more hours." When the subordinates who popped their heads out heard his shout, their expressions were as though they had seen a monster. How did their chief suddenly become so sinister? "Chief, we have already trained for 3 hours. If we stay in the water for another 2 hours, we will drown. That's right, Chief. After 3 hours, we will be exhausted. Now, we need to eat to replenish our energy. 3 hours. If you don't dive for 3 hours, you are not allowed to come up. Talk again, 4 hours. Maupassant's resolute handsome face, black can't be more black. Are you coming with us? One of the men asked fearlessly. Plop, Maupassant's tall body jumped into the pool, and then, his entire body sank to the bottom of the pool. This was an artificial pond. It was very large, like a lake, but the water was clear. The distance between the bottom of the pool and the surface of the water was 10 meters. Training in swimming, to the soldiers, was an extremely important project. If they were in danger of falling into the sea, they could escape. When the subordinates saw Maupassant sink to the bottom of the pool, they followed him. After reaching the bottom of the pool, Maupassant sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes, as though he were practicing his energy arts. Since the chief had taken the lead to dive into the water, which one of them would take the lead? She had no choice but to continue diving with him obediently. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. 2 hours passed. The soldiers couldn't take it anymore and all swam up. Only Maupassant hadn't come up yet. The brothers looked at each other and discussed strangely. What did our chief do? Wasn't he fine before he dived? He flew into a rage. This is the first time I've seen him in so long. Abandoned by a woman. His expression is so scary. Does the chief have a woman? We've never heard of her. Looking at him, he looks like he has fallen out of love. He must have been abandoned. Oh no, will he be too sad and take things too hard, so he dived and ended up in the water. Chapter 846. The chief hasn't come up yet. Could he have drowned? Should we go down and take a look? Let's go down. If the chief drowned, what should we do? The chief is like my father. I'll only be with him for the rest of my life. Splash! Just when Maupassant's brothers were about to go down and pull him up, a bold head suddenly popped up in front of them. Everyone took a look. Fuck, it was their chief, Maupassant. After Maupassant came up, he glanced at them coldly and went up to the shore. The company commander, Ives, had a good relationship with him. They were childhood friends. He quickly chased after him. Chief, did you fall out of love? He spoke to Maupassant in French. Maupassant's hair was dripping with water. His tense face looked resolute and wild. The water fell from his body, making him look even more handsome and mysterious. He glanced at Ives coldly and asked in French, "Oh, what's falling out of love?" Ives looked at him and smiled. Your face is so dark. It's obvious that you've been abandoned. You're allowed to drink today. Ives smiled. You need to find a drinking partner, right? Maupassant's gaze was deep and unfathomable. Yes, he admitted. I'm tired from soaking in the pool. Let's drink to relieve fatigue. Let's go. Maupassant was inexplicably touched and disappointed because of Huang Ling's marriage. It was as if something was missing. It was as if someone had snatched it away. Anyway, he had never had such a feeling before. Li Xinxin had told him personally that she liked Gu Yanhao, didn't love him, and wouldn't marry him. He didn't have such a feeling. Now that he heard that Huang Ling was married, he didn't feel good. He just wanted to drink. He just wanted to get drunk, in M City. Huang Ling took a taxi home after coming out of the supermarket. At home, Lu Fengfeng was almost done preparing lunch. Huang Ling said that she would bring her son-in-law back, so she made a lot of dishes for him. Who knew? Only Huang Ling came back alone. Where's your boyfriend? Lu Fengfeng came out of the kitchen wearing an apron and holding a spatula. She looked at Huang Ling in surprise. Why did you come back alone? He suddenly had an emergency and went to the south. South? We're in the north, why did he go so far south? Yes. What's so urgent that you have to go at this time? The meal is ready, but you don't want to eat. Lu Fengfeng greatly discounted this son-in-law whom she had never met. Bah, what son-in-law? She hadn't met him yet and hadn't agreed for them to be together. He couldn't be considered a son-in-law. There's a flood in the south, and many houses have collapsed. He's going to comfort the people. Huang Ling put her bag on the sofa. When Lu Fengfeng heard this, she pursed her lips in disdain. Comforting the people. Does he think he's the president? Huang Ling smiled. You don't have to be the president to comfort the people. Take a city and be city for example. Young Master Gu isn't the president, but he still didn't worry about his business and went to deal with this matter. That's because young Master Gu values his brotherhood with the president. Moreover, young Master Gu has a broad heart. When the president wasn't the president, young Master Gu cared about the people of the world. Now that the country is in trouble, of course he has to help. Can your boyfriend be compared to the president and young Master Gu? Driving a luxury car doesn't mean that he's a high-ranking official and has power. Mom, he's not my boyfriend anymore. When Lu Fengfeng heard this, she threw the spatula away and strode to Huang Ling. She looked at her in surprise. You broke up. Huang Ling looked up and smiled at Lu Fengfeng. We didn't break up. We're married. Chapter 847. What? Lu Fengfeng felt that there was something wrong with her ears. Today, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a marriage certificate. Huang Ling, are you crazy? I don't even know who he is and you dare to get a marriage certificate with him like this? Lu Fengfeng screamed. Mom, you've met him. I've met him. That foreign man. At the thought of Maupassant, Lu Fengfeng's tone became much better. That foreign man is not bad. Although he looks cold, one look and you can tell that he's a caring and decent man. Most importantly, I think he's really good to you. You said he's the chief of some army. He's a very high-ranking chief, right? It's only right for him to go to the south to comfort the people. The country needs a righteous man like him who's not afraid of death. Huang Ling was speechless. How do you know that he's righteous and not afraid of death? Lu Fengfeng raised her eyebrows. So, it's really him. Huang Ling shook her head. No. If it's not him, who else could it be? Huang Ling smiled and took out the marriage certificate from her bag and handed it to Lu Fengfeng. You'll know when you see it. Lu Fengfeng took the marriage certificate and opened it. She even read the words on the certificate. Holder, Huang Ling, husband, Megu. What? Megu? Lu Fengfeng looked at Huang Ling in shock. Is it our country's president, Megu? Huang Ling nodded calmly. Yes. Ah. Lu Fengfeng was so scared that she took 2 steps back and the marriage certificate fell from her hand. Huang Ling quickly reached out to catch it before it fell to the ground. Huang Ling held the marriage certificate and looked at Lu Fengfeng in surprise. Lu Fengfeng looked like she was deeply shocked. Her mouth was wide open as she gasped and stared at Huang Ling in disbelief. Huang Ling asked with concern, Mom, are you okay? You wretched girl, why didn't you tell me before you married the president? Lu Fengfeng suddenly shouted angrily. I wanted to give you a surprise. What you're giving me now is a fright. Mom, you should be happy that I'm marrying the president. Why are you shocked? Are you worthy of being Madam President? Mom, do you have so little confidence in me? It's not that I don't have confidence in you, but you're not suitable to be Madam President at all. Look at those first ladies on TV. They're dignified, elegant, and smart. Whether it's their IQ or EQ, they're all very high. What about you? Magoo said that I don't need to be like them when I get married. I just need to enjoy life at home. You're good at this kind of nonsense. Huang Ling, Mom doesn't ask for much. I just want you to be happy. We can't afford to be associated with a family like the president. Then what should we do? We're already married. Sigh. I hope the president is sincere to you. If I'm not sincere, will he marry me? Mom, this is actually the second time he has proposed marriage to me. Well, Huang Ling lied again. Lu Fengfeng glared at her. Why didn't you tell me that it was your first time? I don't want you to worry. Am I not worried now? I'm worried to death right now. How many days will the president be at home? You'll be running around the country and then going abroad. You'll be very lonely. Don't I still have you? I won't be lonely. Huang Ling said with a smile. You just got married and you're already flying to the south. You're going back to your parents' house on your wedding night. How ironic. We've only gotten our marriage certificate. We haven't slept together yet. When he comes back, we'll have a meal together and treat it as a banquet. I don't want to be so high profile. Magoo agreed. We'll have our wedding night then. Huang Ling said. Chapter 848. If he loves you, why didn't he give you a grand wedding? Lu Fengfeng sat down and had a long talk with Huang Ling. He wanted to give it to me, but I refused. At this time, it's not suitable for him to hold a grand wedding. The more low-key, the better, Huang Ling said. Why? I want to hear the reason why you refused. Now that the heavenly thunder disease is so serious, the whole country is in a panic. The country is investing a lot of money and resources to invent drugs and find herbs. Moreover, the flood in the south has caused a lot of losses to the people. The country has to compensate. At this time, if Magoo holds a grand wedding, it will cause some people with bad intentions to write about it. It will not be good if it arouses the anger of the people. Huang Ling analyzed. Lu Fengfeng frowned after hearing that. It seemed to make sense. Huang Ling pursed her lips and continued to analyze. As the president, Magoo just wants to get a marriage certificate and have a meal with the two families. He is so low-key. If they know, they will think that Magoo cares about the country. In order to deal with the two natural disasters, he has wronged himself. Even his marriage is so simple. In this way, the whole country will love Magoo more, and those who have bad intentions will not be able to make a fuss about it. Lu Fengfeng looked at Huang Ling from the corner of her eyes. These are all your thoughts? Or did Magoo tell her? Huang Ling raised her chin. Of course I thought of it. I am analyzing it for you. In short, my marriage with Magoo is a good thing, not a bad thing. Huang Ling, I can't accept that you are suddenly marrying the president. Lu Fengfeng pinched herself hard. It hurt, Mom, life is full of surprises. You have to accept it. Lu Fengfeng touched her arm that was hurting because of her pinch and murmured, I only know that life is full of danger. Life and death are up to fate. We don't think so much. Okay. Lu Fengfeng got up. I will continue to cook the dishes that are not ready. There are so many dishes. How can we finish them? If we can't finish it, put it in the fridge. We'll have a big meal for the next 2 days. After Lu Fengfeng entered the kitchen, she came out again and looked at Huang Ling worriedly. You're married to the president. Your foreign brother. Brother Mo. Yes. Huang Ling looked at Lu Fengfeng strangely. Why was she asking about Brother Mo? Does he know? Lu Fengfeng asked. Got it. Will he be very sad? Pfft. What's he sad about? Huang Ling wanted to laugh. He likes you. Will he be sad if you get married? Lu Fengfeng frowned. Mom, we're brothers. Our relationship is closer than normal friends, but it's not a relationship between a man and a woman. We're best friends who talk about everything, not boyfriend and girlfriend. Why would he be sad about my marriage? But I think he treats you well. I've already said that we're best friends. Of course, he treats me well, and I treat him well too. Mom, don't guess blindly. He already has a woman he likes. Oh, I see. Lu Fengfeng returned to the kitchen to cook. Huang Ling took a picture of the marriage certificate and sent it to Song Wuyo through WeChat. Then she wrote, Wuyo girl, I'm married. Soon, Song Wuyo replied, come to the manor. I'll celebrate with you. Your husband isn't home. He went to the south. Oh, I'll go over tonight. But it's not to celebrate. I'm going to see my goddaughter. Huang Ling smiled. Chapter 849. Alright, I'll get Sister Song to cook something nice for you. I'll bring my clothes over to stay. That's even better. We can talk together. That's settled then. I'll eat my mom's cooking first. She specially cooked a lot of dishes today. Migu said he would come over to eat, but he stood me up. She forced me to eat a few more bowls. Then you can eat a few more bowls. I won't despise you even if you become a fatty. Our friendship is over, don't reply. Then. Song Wuyo really didn't reply. Huang Ling chuckled and muttered to herself, what a woman with character. Don't reply really means don't reply. After lunch, with Lu Fengfeng's approval, Huang Ling went to Wuyo's manor. She and Song Wuyo accompanied the baby for a long time before accompanying Song Wuyo back to the bedroom to rest. Song Wuyo lay on the bed while Huang Ling sat by the bed, watching the news with her. The recent news was all about the flood and the plague. Coincidentally, they were watching the flood rescue scene. Gu Yanhao and Migu appeared on the screen. They brought a group of soldiers to a village to do rescue work. The village was huge but the terrain was very deep. A few tall buildings were submerged. Because there were trees, buildings, and other obstacles, it wasn't convenient to drive a big boat. They could only drive a lifeboat and move forward slowly. They came to a building that was almost flooded to the roof. From the water surface, this should be the tallest building in the vicinity. The roof was densely packed with people trying to escape from the flood. Gu Yanhao and Migu's lifeboat came to the front of the building. They jumped up to the roof and started saving people. Among the people on the roof, they saved the elderly, children, and women first. There were many people on this building. The flood was like a ferocious beast with its mouth wide open. It crashed into the building, causing it to be on the verge of collapse. On the television, Gu Yanhao and Migu's simple shirts and suits were all drenched. But even in such a miserable situation, they were still the most dazzling and handsome. After a few rounds of lifeboats, most of the people on the rooftop had been saved. Migu helped a middle-aged man to the edge of the building and sent him to the lifeboat. Crash! Just as the middle-aged man took a step forward, before he could jump into the lifeboat, a wave of water rushed forward. The building suddenly collapsed and was submerged in an instant. The middle-aged man's hand left Migu's and was instantly washed away by the flood. Migu panicked and reached out to save him, but his tall body was also swept away by the flood. Behind Migu, Gu Yanhao and the people who were not rescued were also swept into the flood because of the collapse of the building. Ah! awe. In front of the television, Song Wuyo and Huang Ling saw this scene. When they saw Gu Yanhao and Migu being swept into the flood, the two women's hearts suddenly felt like it was being squeezed by something. One tightened and the other tightened. One was in pain and the other was in pain. They screamed in shock. Huang Ling stood up from her chair excitedly. Song Wuyo sat up excitedly. The two women stared at the television in horror. The scene on the television was also shaking. It should be the lifeboat of the cameraman that was affected by the flood. The camera was shaking and water splashed onto it. The television screen looked like it had been splashed by a basin of water, with water droplets dripping down. On the shaking camera, the people in front of the television saw that the place where the building collapsed was like a tiger's mouth. The flood was swirling in circles. The floating trees and other things were swept into the water along with the circles. Where were they? Song Wuyo and Huang Ling's faces turned pale. Where were their husbands? Chapter 850. Song Wuyo clutched the blanket tightly with both hands. Her heart was in a state of panic. Her gaze was fixed on the television. Where was Gu Yanhao? Huang Ling's face was so pale that there wasn't a trace of blood in it. Her heart was like Song Wuyo's. It was very painful, very nervous, and very uneasy. Just now, she saw Migu being swept away by the flood in order to save that middle-aged man. And Gu Yanhao, the building had collapsed and he had been swept into the flood. Would he have been crushed under the bricks or steel bars? When she thought of this, Huang Ling wanted to scream. She covered her mouth tightly with both hands. Her eyes were wide open and glistening with tears. Migu, would he be in danger? They had just gotten their marriage certificate today. If anything happened to him, would it be because she was a jinx to her husband? When she thought of this, Huang Ling's chest suddenly felt stuffy, as though she couldn't breathe. The tears that were welling up in her eyes also fell at this moment. The scene was no longer so shaky. The cameraman must have balanced it. At the place where the building had collapsed, the flood was no longer in circles and the water level was slowly calming down. But Song Wuyo and Huang Ling waited anxiously and fearfully. The camera was also pointed there. The cameraman must be as anxious as they were in waiting. Waiting for the two big shots to appear. The camera searched around the area. The person who couldn't be saved just now was gone. Gu Yanhao and Migu's figures were still nowhere to be seen. Song Wuyo and Huang Ling's hearts tightened more and more. Huang Ling's tears came crashing down. Even Song Wuyo, who had always been strong and unflustered, had tears welling up in her eyes. Gu Yanhao, her Gu Yanhao, no way. She cheered herself on. Her Gu Yanhao would be fine. He would definitely swim out. He knew how to swim, but neither he nor Migu knew how to swim. If they were swept in by the flood, they would at most tumble a few times with the flood and then come back up. He definitely will. She clutched the bedding tightly and waited nervously. Migu, how's he? Huang Ling was already choking with sobs. They'll be fine. Song Wuyo swallowed his saliva and uttered these words with great difficulty. When she said this, she realized that something was stuck in her throat and it was extremely uncomfortable. President. We found the president. Suddenly, the reporter's voice cried out in surprise. In front of the TV, it was loud and clear. Song Wuyo and Huang Ling's eyes were glued to the television as they followed the camera. In front, Migu in a white shirt swam up. His thick arm was tightly hugging a piece of driftwood. Driftwood supported his tall body as he floated above the water. The moment she saw Migu, Huang Ling's heart, which was in her throat, heaved a sigh of relief. But there was still Hausi. Where was Hausi? Then, her eyes widened. Behind Migu, Gu Yenhao also swam up. Seeing them, the lifeboat hurriedly drove over and pulled them up. Ha! Song Wuyo saw them safely on the lifeboat together and couldn't help but laugh. However, tears filled her eyes. She chuckled as tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked very pained. Huang Ling covered her mouth with both hands, crying and laughing at the same time. The excitement of surviving a disaster made her unable to resist pouncing on Song Wuyo. No matter how strong Song Wuyo's heart was, she was still a woman. She hugged Huang Ling and cried softly. Wuyo, they're fine, they're finally fine. Huang Ling cried and laughed emotionally. Chapter 851. Song Wuyo was also very emotional. Her voice choked as she said, yes. They're fine. They're fine. Her eyes were glued to the television. The camera followed Gu Yenhao and Migu. They sat on a lifeboat facing each other. Their expressions were very solemn, and the muscles on their faces were extremely tense. Looking at their expressions, Song Wuyo guessed that they were sad because they couldn't save the people who were swept into the flood, causing their hearts to be heavy. She and Huang Ling hugged each other. They cried and laughed for a while before Huang Ling let go of her arms. She turned her head and looked at the television. The live broadcast of the big news had already ended. She also knew that Gu Yenhao and Migu were safe. She pursed her lips and turned her head to look at Song Wuyo. Song Wuyo's eyes were red. Huang Ling gently patted the back of her hand and smiled. Wuyo, they're fine. Song Wuyo smiled at her. Yeah, that scene just now was really scary. Song Wuyo looked at Huang Ling's tear-stained face and asked, Huang Ling, are these tears for Aho or for Migu? Huang Ling was stunned. She didn't expect Song Wuyo to ask her such a question. She took a breath and smiled helplessly. She looked a little dazed. You won't believe it even if I tell you. I actually shed tears for Migu. Song Wuyo frowned slightly when she heard this. She looked at Huang Ling quietly. Was she starting to like Migu? Huang Ling looked deeply at Song Wuyo. She didn't hold back and said directly, although my tears also carry a portion of Haozi's. But first and foremost, they are for Migu. I'm thinking, my husband, if he dies, is it because of me? When Song Wuyo heard this, her pupils shrank. She looked at Huang Ling in astonishment. This girl actually had such thoughts. Huang Ling, how can you have such thoughts? Song Wuyo held Huang Ling's hand and said, even if something happens to Migu, it's none of your business. I'm just scared, he's the president. The president looks mighty, but he's also dangerous. Huang Ling pursed her lips stiffly. From now on, I'll pray for him every night, praying that he'll be safe. Yes, your sincerity can move the common people. The heavens will feel your kindness to him, Song Wuyo said. Seeing that Song Wuyo's eyelashes were wet from her tears just now, Huang Ling felt a trace of pity in her heart. She blamed Gu Yenhao. Haozi is really too much. You're in confinement now. Why did you go to the south with Migu? They probably took a private plane there. As soon as they arrived, they started the rescue work. Haozi is just a businessman. Why is he getting involved? Huang Ling, this is a matter between two men. They grew up together and have a deep relationship. At this time, it's only right for Ahao to help Migu. But you're in confinement. Aren't you with me now? Song Wuyo said casually. Sigh. Huang Ling shook her head. Song Wuyo didn't understand what she meant. She looked at Song Wuyo with a serious face. Girl Wuyo, during confinement, don't cry. It's not good for your eyes. Song Wuyo just smiled. She had just shed tears for a while, so it shouldn't cause much damage to her eyes. Huang Ling held Song Wuyo's hand tightly and said, "You promised me that you would take good care of this body." Chapter 852. Song Wuyo was taken aback. The eyes also belong to this body. You have to take good care of them, Huang Ling said. Song Wuyo smiled at Huang Ling. "Huang Ling, I will take extra care of this body in the future." "That's good." Huang Ling looked at her and smiled. "I promise you that I will take good care of this body. You should also take good care of your own body for the sake of the previous Huang Ling." Huang Ling nodded. "Of course. You don't have to say that. Ah Ho told me that you were beaten up by Li Xinxin at the bar. When did Haozi become so nosy? He even has to tell you this kind of thing. Does he have nothing to say to you? So, you want to keep the fact that you were beaten up by Li Xinxin from me? Of course not. At least wait until you are out of confinement. Huang Ling, you always care about me first." "I really have mixed feelings." Song Wuyo smiled bitterly. "I only care about you. I don't have time to care about others." Gu Yanhao and Migu had been fighting the flood in the south. In the blink of an eye, 15 days passed. Song Wuyo was out of confinement, and the baby was also out of the incubator. Because she could hold the baby now, Huang Ling had been living in the manor, fighting with Song Wuyo to hold the baby. The competition was really fierce. In the end, they decided that Huang Ling would hold the baby during the day, and Song Wuyo would hold the baby at night. Holding the soft baby, the two women were full of motherly love. On this day, Huang Ling sat on the sofa with the baby in her arms, and Song Wuyo was feeding the baby milk with a bottle. The baby looked at them curiously as he drank milk. The baby opened his eyes and was very curious about some things. His eyes were as black as obsidian and sparkling. They were very beautiful. After coming out of the incubator and being fed milk for a few days, the baby's face became even rounder and more tender. It was extremely cute. "Xiao Bao is looking at me. Xiao Bao, be a good boy. If you look at Godmother like this, do you think Godmother is prettier than Mommy?" Huang Ling said softly, her voice sweet and soft. She was afraid that if she was too loud, she would scare the baby. Song Wuyo, who was feeding the baby with a bottle, saw the baby staring at Huang Ling intently. She was a little jealous. "You must have hugged her too much during the day. She's treating you as her mother and me as her nanny." Huang Ling smiled and said, "Who asked you to rush for milk every time and take the milk bottle? You are a complete nanny. Let's switch. I'll carry her during the day and you carry her at night." "No, it's too short to hug at night." The baby was very obedient. He fell asleep before 9 o'clock every night and slept until the middle of the night. When he was hungry, he woke up to ask for food. After drinking milk, he went back to sleep. Then, he woke up at dawn to ask for food. After eating, he went back to sleep. Only during the day did the baby sleep less. At night, he slept and slept. Moreover, Huang Ling also needed to sleep at night. She did not agree to hug him at night. "You also know that the time at night is too short. Do you understand how I feel?" Song Wuyo pursed her lips. Huang Ling looked at the baby and smiled. "I don't understand. I only know that when your husband comes back, I don't have a chance to hug him." Huang Ling had just mentioned Gu Yanhao when Su Jing ran in and said excitedly to Song Wuyo, "Miss, young Master Gu is back." Song Wuyo and Huang Ling were shocked and then delighted when they heard that. But, Song Wuyo pursed her lips. Okay, I know. Huang Ling did not have any strange expression on her face. Instead, she looked at the baby gently and kindly. Xiao Bao, be good and eat your grandma. Eat your grandma. Chapter 853. Actually, she was a little excited. She and Song Wuyo had been paying attention to the news in the south every day. The flood had receded slowly, and the heavy rain that had lasted for a month had finally stopped. Although the work over there had not been completed, Magoo had already handed it over to his subordinates. They had been in the south for half a month and had only spoken on the phone twice. Because the electricity and internet were all down. Moreover, they were really busy. Even though they were worried about their family, they had to endure it. Since they were already at the scene, it was of course more important to save people. Now that Gu Yanhao was back, Magoo should be back too, right? He still had to go to City A and City B to deal with the Heavenly Thunder epidemic. Gu Yanhao's tall and slender figure walked in hurriedly. Wuyo. Seeing the woman in the living room, his deep voice revealed a suppressed excitement. Song Wuyo was actually happy, but she looked calm on the surface, as if he had just returned home from work. She looked up and smiled sweetly at him. You're back. When she said this, a trace of heartache flashed past her shimmering eyes. She had not seen him in person for half a month, and now that he was back, he had lost weight. His hair had grown out, and his beard had probably not been shaved for 2 days. Even his cheeks were full of stubble. He was still wearing a black shirt and black trousers. Looking at him, he had a wild and sexy look. Seeing that Song Wuyo was not as happy as he had imagined, Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows and looked at her deeply. They had not seen each other for half a month, and this was her reaction. He walked over with the smell of sweat all over his body. Song Wuyo could smell it. He had wanted to blame Song Wuyo for her indifferent attitude towards him. But when he saw the baby girl in Huang Ling's arms, this wild man instantly became a loving father. His deep eyes became gentle and loving. When the baby was almost done eating, Song Wuyo gently pulled the milk bottle out of her mouth. Xiao Bao. Gu Yanhao walked over and bent down to take the baby girl from Huang Ling's arms. Huang Ling raised her head and glanced at him. Then, she discreetly looked at the door. A look of disappointment flashed across his eyes, and he felt somewhat dejected. Magoo didn't come back. Didn't he come back with Haozi? Or, did he come back but did not come to Wuyo Manor? Little treasure has become prettier. Gu Yanhao said lovingly. Song Wuyo said with disdain, I wonder who said she was ugly. Yes, little treasure is ugly. Little treasure is as ugly as mommy. Gu Yanhao laughed. The corners of his lips were raised high. It was obvious that he was in a very good mood. Gu Yanhao, where's Magoo? Huang Ling asked. Hearing Huang Ling's voice, Gu Yanhao seemed to notice her. After glancing at her, he continued to look at the baby's face and replied, he's back at the Mu estate. Huang Ling, you can go to the Mu estate to find him. Okay. Huang Ling smiled. It was the afternoon. Huang Ling knew that Song Wuyo and Gu Yanhao were going to have a good gathering. And an hour ago, she had lunch with Song Wuyo. She got up and said to Song Wuyo, Wuyo, I'm going back. You two have a good gathering. Song Wuyo thought that Huang Ling was going to find Magoo, so she did not ask Huang Ling to stay. She smiled and said, okay, Magoo has worked so hard for so long. After you go back to the Mu estate, make him some soup to nourish his body. They were married. Song Wuyo used the word go instead of go. There was a difference between going back to the Mu estate and going to the Mu estate. Huang Ling smiled and said, I'll come to see my goddaughter when I'm free. Chapter 854. After Huang Ling left the living room, Gu Yanhao sat down on the sofa with the baby in his arms. His deep gaze was filled with unprecedented love and gentleness. His gentleness was accompanied by a fatherly smile. It was different from the gentleness he had when he looked at Song Wuyo. "She's so cute and soft. I don't dare to use too much strength in my fingers for fear of hurting her." Gu Yanhao chuckled softly. Song Wuyo, who was sitting next to him, looked at him silently as if she hadn't heard him. She didn't give any response. Only God knew how emotional she was at that moment. She had been on tenterhooks every day because there were many power outages and internet outages in the south. She couldn't contact him and was very anxious. He didn't even tell her that he was coming back. This was a surprise. As Song Wuyo looked at him, her eyes reddened again. She felt that she had been on tenterhooks for the past half a month and was especially aggrieved. "Wifey, our daughter's nickname is Little Bao, Gu Yanhao tilted his head and looked at Song Wuyo with a faint smile. "What's wrong? Why are your eyes red?" "Gu Yanhao." Song Wuyo suddenly hugged his waist and buried her face in his arm. She sobbed and said, "Do you know that I was so scared that tears came out of my eyes when I saw you being swept away by the flood?" Gu Yanhao's gaze deepened and a trace of heartache flashed across his heart. "In such a long time, you only called me twice, silly. Those 2 calls were because I deliberately went to the city where there was electricity and internet." Gu Yanhao smiled dotingly. He liked this side of Song Wuyo more and more. This little woman made him pity her and want to protect her. Even when he wasn't by her side, she could take care of herself well and live well. When he was outside, he didn't have to worry about her at all. Sob sob. Song Wuyo only wanted to cry now. She wanted to cry out of happiness. Hearing her cry like a wronged little woman, Gu Yanhao smiled and said dotingly, "Woman, you're a mother now. Why are you still crying? Can't a mother cry? Crying is divided by age." Song Wuyo rubbed her face against his sleeve and wiped her tears on his clothes. "It's embarrassing to cry in front of a child." Gu Yanhao carried Xiaobao and tilted his head to look at the crying woman. "The child is still young. He doesn't know that I'm crying." Song Wuyo looked up at Xiaobao. Little Treasure didn't even look at her. He was looking at Gu Yanhao with his bright black eyes. He looked very curious. She seemed to be saying, "Hey, who is this handsome brother?" Xiaobao. Seeing her so cute, Song Wuyo couldn't help but reach out and gently touch Xiaobao's face. Her chubby cheeks felt very comfortable to touch. They were tender and smooth, and he even wanted to pinch them. When Xiaobao heard Song Wuyo's voice, his dark eyes turned and looked at Song Wuyo. He looked at Song Wuyo quietly for 3 seconds before returning his gaze to Gu Yanhao's face. Gu Yanhao saw this and smiled. Xiaobao knows how to appreciate handsome men at such a young age. Not bad. She's looking at her own father. What are you thinking? Song Wuyo expressed her disdain for Gu Yanhao. No, she thinks I'm handsome. No, I'll show you. Gu Yanhao looked up and shouted at the door, "Aude." Aude heard him and came in. "Young master. Come here and carry Xiaobao." Gu Yanhao smiled. Aude was stunned. "Young master, I'm afraid I can't carry her well. I haven't carried such a small baby before." Gu Yanhao glared at him. "Just do as I say." Chapter 855. Okay. The corners of Aude's mouth twitched and he smiled. He came forward and carefully carried Xiaobao. He felt that the child in his arms was soft and he didn't dare to exert any strength. She was like a rare and precious treasure in this world. Talk to her, Gu Yanhao said. Oh, okay. Ade was confused by Gu Yanhao's behavior. He looked at Xiaobao and tried to make his voice as gentle as possible. The little princess is so beautiful. The little princess is very cute. When Xiaobao heard Ade's voice, she shifted her gaze to Ade's face. After looking at him curiously for a while, her gaze returned to Gu Yanhao's face. Ade saw that her eyes were so dark and watery, and he liked them very much. Young master, the little princess is really cute, Ade said. Gu Yanhao only smiled and didn't say anything. He didn't want to use his voice to attract Xiaobao's attention. Ade was talking, but she didn't look at Ade. She was looking at Gu Yanhao. Gu Yanhao smiled proudly and said to Song Wuyo, "See. Xiaobao knows how to appreciate handsome men." When Ade heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched. Young master was saying that he wasn't a handsome man. He looked at Xiaobao. The little princess was indeed not looking at him. Song Wuyo couldn't help but laugh. She knows that you are her father. This is called blood is thicker than water. Ade nodded and agreed with Song Wuyo. Young madam is right. Blood is thicker than water. Ade, even if you don't want to admit it, you have to admit that you are not a handsome man. Gu Yanhao reached out and carried Xiaobao back. Ade said, "I didn't say that I was a handsome man." After Huang Ling left Wuyo's manor, she drove her Volkswagen back to her apartment. She had originally wanted to look for Migu in the Mu estate. However, she thought that since he had just returned, he should be very tired and should be resting now. She was afraid to disturb him. The car stopped at the entrance of the neighborhood. She wondered why she didn't give him a call since she knew he was coming back. No matter how tired or busy he was, he would at least have the time to listen to a phone call for a minute, right? Although they got married without any feelings for each other, Huang Ling was looking forward to Migu taking the initiative to call her. He told her that he had returned to M City and asked her to wait for him at the apartment. He would come over and pick her up at the Mu estate. Of course, this was just her expectation. She didn't think Migu would take the initiative to call her, at least not today. He was the president and had just returned to M City. Moreover, it was inconvenient to contact him in the south. Now that he was back, those who couldn't find him before would definitely come looking for him. Therefore, he had no time to care about her. The car slowly drove into the neighborhood. After parking the car in her own parking space, Huang Ling took out her phone and hesitated. In the end, she defeated herself and called Migu. At this moment, Migu was lying on the chaise lounge with a tired body. The phone on the coffee table kept ringing. He knew that these calls were from more than one person. They were from different numbers. He had designed different ringtones for calls from work and personal calls. After one ringtone stopped, another ringtone sounded. This time, it was different from the previous ringtone. This time, it was from a personal number. The personal numbers were from Gu Yanhao, Song Wuyo, Mu Axayan, and Huang Ling. Mu Axayan was upstairs. He had returned to M City with Gu Yanhao. At this time, Song Wuyo would not call him. This call should be from Huang Ling. When he thought of Huang Ling, there was not much emotion in his eyes. It could be said that he was indifferent. He reached over lazily and took the phone. Huang Ling. Chapter 856. Hearing his voice, Huang Ling froze for a moment. After ringing for so long, she was just about to hang up when his voice came from the other end. As though she was caught off guard, Huang Ling's tone sounded a little agitated and nervous. "I just came back from Wuyo's place. Gu Yanhao said that you were back too. Migu, is everything okay?" "Yeah." Migu said indifferently, "The flood issue is basically settled. We've already arranged new homes for those homeless people. That's good, Magoo. They all said that you and Gu Yenhao did a great job. It's right for them to praise Ah Ho. But as the president of a country, I have to deal with everything. Ching Wanduo walked into the living room gracefully. Even before she arrived, her voice could be heard first. You must be exhausted, right? Drink more soup to nourish your body. You were in the water for so long during the disaster relief in the south. I'm worried that your kidney is weak. If it's really weak and you can't satisfy me at night, I'll be disappointed. Before she could finish her words, she saw Magoo suddenly turn around and stare at her with a malicious gaze. Ching Wanduo raised her eyebrows. She wanted to say something, but she saw that he was holding a phone in his hand, and the phone was placed next to his ear. He was talking about business. Then, her words should have been heard by the other party, right? If she said that his kidney was weak, would the other party laugh at her? Ching Wanduo was embarrassed by her own behavior. If she had known that he was talking on the phone, she wouldn't have said those words in advance. Magoo glanced at Ching Wanduo for a moment before saying to Huang Ling, I'll look for you tonight. With that, he hung up without giving Huang Ling a chance to speak. When Ching Wanduo heard that, she raised her eyebrows unhappily. Judging from your tone, the other party should be a woman. Magoo, are you going on a date tonight? Magoo looked at Ching Wanduo gloomily. What does it have to do with you whether I go on a date or not? Ching Wanduo, I'm the president now. I can convict you at any time. When Ching Wanduo heard this, he smiled charmingly and said, What crime have I committed? Was it a crime to chase after the man she liked? Or is it a crime to be a guest at the home of the man you like? Scram! Magoo was extremely tired and did not want to see this woman. Ching Wanduo stood in front of him and looked at him angrily. You only know how to tell me to scram. Do you know how worried I am about you? The moment I saw you being swept away by the flood, my heart felt like it was being strangled by a hand, and I couldn't breathe. At that moment, I was so afraid of your death. At that time, I also thought that I finally found a man that I liked. If he left like this, I would immediately follow him. That way, I would have someone to look after me on the road to the Yellow Springs. Perhaps they could even carve their names on the 3 live stone. You came back safely, but you told me to scram. It's fine if you don't like me, but you don't have to be so hostile towards me, right? Magoo was shocked by the words, on the road to the Yellow Springs, and 3 live stone. He raised his head and looked at Ching Wanduo deeply. If I really die, will you follow me? Ching Wanduo smiled charmingly. Will you believe it? Magoo pursed his lips tightly. He did not believe it. He smiled coldly. Say it. Anyone will. If it really comes to that, you will back down. Ching Wanduo was a little angry. You're not me. How do you know that I will back down? I, Ching Wanduo, am not such a coward. I'm very tired. You can leave. If you're tired, then rest well. I'll sit beside you and not make a sound. I won't disturb you. You can sleep. Ching Wanduo lay on the sofa and waved the phone in her hand. Check WeChat. Chapter 857. Magoo pursed his thin lips and glanced coldly at Ching Wanduo. Then, he closed his eyes and rested. Ching Wanduo lowered his head and seemed to be scrolling through WeChat. However, when Magoo closed his eyes, she looked up at him and smiled coquettishly. He came back covered in dust and his clothes were a little dirty. However, in Ching Wanduo's eyes, he was especially handsome. She sat there and looked at him quietly. The more she looked, the more fascinated she became, it was Qing Wanduo's voice. Huang Ling sat in the car and was lost in thought. She heard Qing Wanduo's voice just now. You must be exhausted, right? Drink more soup to nourish your body. You were in the water for so long during the disaster relief in the south. I'm worried that your kidneys are weak. If your kidneys are really weak and you can't satisfy me at night, I'll be disappointed. This was what he said, and it reached her ears through the phone. Huang Ling pursed her lips slightly. She couldn't describe the feeling in her heart. Qing Wanduo's words contained a lot of information. Kidneys were weak and she couldn't satisfy him at night. Even if Huang Ling was a beginner, even if she was an idiot, she still understood the meaning of this sentence. Magoo. He was with Qing Wanduo. He didn't hate that woman at all. Perhaps he did, but he couldn't resist her flirtatious and seductive charm, right? Which man didn't want to find more excitement in bed? Otherwise, with Qing Wanduo's instincts, how could he enter the Mu estate freely? He must have gotten Magoo's special permission. He didn't see her immediately when he came back, nor did he ask her to go to the Mu estate. It turned out that Qing Wanduo was in his residence. As soon as he came back, he couldn't wait to get together with Qing Wanduo. Huang Ling suddenly thought of Song Wuyo. Magoo loved Song Wuyo, but he was with Qing Wanduo. He must be venting something on Qing Wanduo. Huang Ling lowered her head and stared blankly at the phone in her hand. Although she didn't feel good and was a little disappointed, but it was strange that she didn't feel the anger and sadness of her husband catching her in bed. Huang Ling shook her head helplessly. We don't love each other, and the person I like is not him. Why would I feel sad for him? During dinner, Magoo came to Huang Ling's apartment. Lu Fengfeng was excited and at a loss when she saw him. Although he was the son-in-law, he was the president. Magoo brought a lot of tonics for Lu Fengfeng. He must have sensed Lu Fengfeng's nervousness. He smiled politely at Lu Fengfeng and said, "Mother-in-law, relax. How can a mother-in-law be so nervous when she sees her son-in-law?" Huang Ling kept a smile on her face. Seeing that Magoo's attitude towards Lu Fengfeng was good, Huang Ling's lips curled into a gratified smile. Any woman would hope that her husband would treat her mother like his own mother. Lu Fengfeng smiled and said, "The president is right, the president is right." As she spoke, Lu Fengfeng glanced at Huang Ling and thought to herself, why did this silly girl marry the president? What should I do? She felt that being with a ruler was like being with a tiger. She couldn't talk to him as if he was her son-in-law. Mother-in-law, it's too unexpected to call me the president. Just call me by my name. When Lu Fengfeng heard this, she was shocked. How could she dare to call him by his name? Huang Ling felt Lu Fengfeng's nervousness and came over to smooth things over. Mom, you can call him Magoo from now on. Call him Magoo like me. Huang Ling called him Magoo very smoothly. Maybe she used to call him that when she was still Song Wuyo. Chapter 858. Lu Fengfeng nodded with a bright smile, but she seemed a little restrained. Okay. Lu Fengfeng cooked dinner. After Magoo and Huang Ling had lunch, he asked Lu Fengfeng to move to the Mu estate with Huang Ling. After hearing this, Lu Fengfeng refused. The reason was that she was used to living here and had met many neighbors here. She would not be used to moving to the Mu estate. Magoo did not force her. If Lu Fengfeng moved to the Mu estate, he would do his duty as a son-in-law and respect her. If she did not want to go, he would respect her choice. In the end, only Huang Ling followed Magoo back to the Mu estate. It was 8:00 in the evening when they returned to the Mu estate. This was the first time Huang Ling walked into the Mu estate. From the outside, the structure and decoration of the entire Mu estate were in the style of an ancient palace. After walking into the main building, the interior decoration was more like a palace. Standing in the middle of the living room, she looked at everything in front of her. She looked at the luxurious palace-like building. Huang Ling felt as if she had traveled back in time. There was also a feeling that Magoo was not the Magoo of the past. This style was completely different from the Magoo of the past. In the past, Magoo lived in the ranch. The small Western-style building he lived in was simple and modern. But the Mu estate was so solemn, and retro. Huang Ling thought to herself that maybe he had the memory of his previous life, so he built the manor like an ancient palace. There were many maids in the Mu estate. Except for the director, who had come from the ranch, the rest were young maids. After the director received the news from Magoo, he called all the maids to stand in rows in the front yard of the main building. The director came in and told Magoo that all the maids were here. Magoo glanced at Huang Ling, who was standing there in a daze, and said lightly, "Come with me." Oh. Huang Ling came back to her senses and followed Magoo closely. Even at night, the entire Mu estate was brightly lit. It was luxurious and mysterious, like heaven on earth. In particular, the front garden of the main building where Magoo lived had crystal lamps on the walls and rockeries, making it look extremely luxurious. The maids in uniform secretly drooled at the sight of Magoo's fairy-like beauty under the light. Magoo stood in the middle of the doorway with his hands behind his back, looking incomparably dignified. When Huang Ling saw so many maids standing in rows, she knew what Magoo was going to do. Huang Ling came to Magoo's side and stopped. Her eyes swept over all the maids. Their maid outfits were retro. The V-necked tube top was tied at the waist, and the skirt below was loose and swaying, giving her a fairy-like feeling. Their hair was coiled to the back of their heads and secured with a silver hairpin. Every maid had a delicate face and fair skin. Their height was about the same, and they were about the same fat and thin. At a glance, one could tell that they were specially selected to be maids here. The maids looked at Magoo with admiration and worship in their eyes. Magoo tilted his head and glanced at Huang Ling. Then, he said to the maids, "She is the mistress of the estate. You have to serve her well. If anyone dares to neglect her, it means that they don't put me in their eyes." When everyone heard this, including the director, they were shocked. Everyone's eyes fell on Huang Ling at the same time. She was the mistress of the estate. What did Mr. Magoo mean by this? The director stepped forward and carefully asked Magoo, "Young master, can you explain it to us clearly?" Magoo glanced at the director indifferently. "Huang Ling is my wife, the mistress of the estate." Chapter 859. When the director heard this, he raised his eyes and looked at Huang Ling in shock. She was actually young master's wife. When did they get married? The director had always worked in the Magoo family, and he had watched Magoo grow up. After that, he lived in the ranch with Magoo, and he paid special attention to the women who appeared around Magoo. So, he knew Huang Ling, but he never dreamed that young master would marry such an ordinary woman. When the maids heard this, they seemed to hear the sound of their hearts breaking. How could the godlike Mr. President marry such an ordinary woman? Although her dressing, figure, and appearance were not bad, her temperament was not dignified, elegant, or noble. One look and they could tell that she was not of noble birth, nor was she a person who had received higher education. Such a woman could become Madam President. It was really unsightly. No matter how dissatisfied the maids were, they disguised it well and did not show it on their faces. They greeted Huang Ling in unison. "Good evening, madam." Huang Ling smiled and tried not to look so nervous. "Hello, everyone." Magoo looked at Huang Ling. Although his gaze was indifferent, it was much gentler than when he looked at the maids. "Huang Ling, if there is anything in the residence in the future, you don't have to do it yourself. Just ask them to do it. This is the director, Uncle Fu. If you encounter any difficulties or don't understand anything, just look for Uncle Fu. Huang Ling smiled. I know. Magoo smiled gently. Let's go in. Okay. Huang Ling and Magoo turned and entered the living room. I saw Sir smile just now. A maid said infatuatedly. Sir smiled not because of us, but because of Madam. Am I dreaming? It's so late at night, and Sir called us over to announce that he has a wife. But I feel that Madam's temperament is not compatible with Sir at all. What are you talking about? Do you not want to sleep tonight? Hurry up and go back. The director swept a sharp glance at them. After being yelled at by the director, the maids were terrified and left one after another. Magoo took Huang Ling to the second floor. The building was very large, but it was only 2.5 stories high. It was retro and had many floors. Magoo didn't like it. This is the master bedroom. Magoo brought Huang Ling back to his bedroom. His bedroom was still antique. Even his bed and blanket were antique. From now on, you'll sleep here. Magoo said, the clothes, shoes and bags in the cloakroom are all ready. You can match them however you like. After hearing this, Huang Ling felt a rush of excitement. This was the master bedroom. He said that she would sleep here in the future. Did that mean that tonight they were going to spend their wedding night? She was a little nervous. She was still a virgin. I still have things to do. You can go around and observe. If you're tired, go to bed early. Magoo smiled at Huang Ling. Huang Ling smiled slightly. Okay, go ahead. I really want to observe everywhere. The Mu estate was much more magnificent than Gu Yanhao's manor. Okay. Magoo turned around, left the master bedroom, and went to the study on the first floor. Huang Ling observed the bedroom one by one. When she came to the spacious cloakroom, she was a little confused when she saw a variety of women's clothes, bags, shoes, and so on hanging neatly inside. Magoo had prepared so many clothes for her in advance. They were all branded, fashionable clothes and bags, but why was she wearing all of them and not his? Huang Ling couldn't find a single piece of men's clothes in the bedroom. She understood what was going on. Chapter 860. Even though this was the master bedroom, as the owner, Magoo did not return to sleep here. Madam, is there anything I can help you with? Uncle Fu, the director, came to the door of the bedroom with a respectful tone. Huang Ling was just wondering why Magoo did not sleep in the master bedroom when she heard Uncle Fu's voice. She turned around and asked Uncle Fu, Uncle Fu, isn't Magoo sleeping here? Uncle Fu smiled. His smile looked very kind, but in fact, there was not much emotion in his eyes. He was indifferent. Young master usually sleeps on the first floor and occasionally comes back here. During the day, he had people move his daily necessities to the first floor. I think he wants to make room for you to use. Husband and wife lived in different rooms. Uncle Fu was very smart. He guessed that the young master and his wife did not have any feelings for each other and that there must be some difficulties in getting married. And because of that, Uncle Fu's disdain and prejudice towards Huang Ling disappeared. They already knew each other before, so there must be something fishy about this marriage. When Huang Ling heard that, her eyes flashed. She was silent for a few seconds, pursed her lips, and looked at Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu smiled at her respectfully. Madam, if there's anything you need help with, just let me know. Not at the moment. Uncle Fu, you can go back. Yes, madam. After Uncle Fu left, Huang Ling suddenly laughed. She laughed at her own naivety and stupidity. Just now, she was still thinking about her first night with Migu. She was extremely nervous. Only now did she know that he had never thought of sharing a bed with her. Huang Ling shook her head helplessly and went to the balcony. The balcony was well decorated. There was a hanging chair, a round mahogany table, and 2 small stools in front of the table. Other than that, there were 2 pots of plants on the balcony that Huang Ling did not recognize. Huang Ling sat down on the stool and saw that there were books on the mahogany table. She took them over to read. It was a few romance novels. Huang Ling raised her eyebrows and a smile flashed across her eyes. Migu was reading a romance novel. The possibility was not high. Migu must have prepared it for her so that she could read it when she was bored to pass the time. Huang Ling put the book away and looked outside with her head propped up. The scenery outside was really beautiful. She actually lived in such a beautiful place. However, his mood did not improve because of this beautiful scenery. She felt that everything in front of her was somewhat unreal. It felt like a dream. When he woke up, everything was gone. Living in my apartment is still the most comfortable. I'm still the happiest when I'm with Mom. At the mention of Lu Fengfeng, Huang Ling returned to her room, picked up her phone, and sat down on the balcony. She entered Lu Fengfeng's phone number listlessly. After 2 beeps, the other party picked up. Lu Fengfeng asked, "Ling, are you used to the presidential palace?" Huang Ling laughed. "Mom, I definitely won't be used to it when I just arrived." Lu Fengfeng said worriedly, "You've only known your bed since you were young and you're afraid of the dark. It wasn't easy for you to get used to living in an apartment, and now you've moved to an unfamiliar environment. How many nights will you lose sleep before you can sleep well?" Huang Ling's face darkened. It was good to have a mother. "Mom, I've changed this bad habit a long time ago." That was the Huang Ling of the past. Now, she was not afraid of the dark anymore. "It's good that you've changed. Huang Ling, if you're not used to living there and feel wronged, come back, okay? Don't endure it. Migu is very good to me. Just now, he announced to everyone in the house that I'm his wife. He even prepared a big cloakroom for me. There are all kinds of jewelry and clothes. Although material things are important, sincerity is more important." Lu Fengfeng sighed. She always felt that Migu did not love her daughter enough. Chapter 861. Perhaps it was because she was older and had interacted with more people, so she was more observant. During the meal, she did not feel Migu's love for her daughter. However, Huang Ling told her that the president had always been like this. He did not know how to express his feelings. But why did she feel that a man like Gu Yanhao, who did not know how to express his feelings, doted on his wife, Song Wuyo, very much? He did not know how to express himself, but his eyes did, right? "Mom, do you think Migu is not sincere to me and will marry me? Is your daughter a noble? Is she the daughter of a rich family? Is she the princess of a country? Is she the daughter of a high-ranking official? Is she a genius? No. But why does he want to marry me? Because he is sincere to me, so my family background is not important. I hope so, but Mom is always worried." "You don't have to worry. You should be happy that your daughter married well. What are you worried about?" "Mom, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Migu is listening at the side. He wants to show me around." "Okay. Huang Ling, you are married now. You have to restrain yourself in everything. If there is an argument between husband and wife, don't be too stubborn." I know. Mom, I have to hang up." She had already said that she did not want to talk, but she was still nagging. Huang Ling hung up the phone directly. Putting the phone on the table, Huang Ling pretended to open a novel to read. She did not recognize the bed, but she knew that she would not be able to sleep tonight. The phone rang. She thought that Lu Fengfeng still had something to say, so she did not even look at it and answered the call. She turned on the speaker. "Mom, don't nag anymore. I will take good care of myself and will not let myself lose sleep. If you are too bored, you can go play cards with the aunties in the neighborhood. I want to go sightseeing with Migu. That's it. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Bye." "What sightseeing?" A deep voice was heard. Huang Ling was stunned. She paused and was overjoyed. "Brother Mo. Didn't you call me Mom?" "Ah. I thought it was my mom. Brother Mo, what are you doing?" "Dormitory, drink." "Drink? Can I drink in the army? I'm the chief. I have the final say." "So cool, Brother Mo." "Little Brother Ling, didn't you say you were going to take a look? If you don't have time to chat with me, I'll hang up. I'm free. Huang Ling was afraid that Maupassant would hang up the phone, so she hurriedly said, "Your husband isn't by your side?" Maupassant asked in a deep voice. "No, Brother Mo, I'm telling you, don't laugh at me. I'm going to sleep alone on our wedding night." Huang Ling pouted and complained to Maupassant like an aggrieved little girl. Maupassant, who was lying down in the military dormitory, raised his eyebrows. "Didn't they get married half a month ago? Newlywed. Which man did you get married to this time?" "This Brother Mo, you're making it sound like your brother Ling is a woman with a stomach full of tricks. Isn't there a flood in K country?" Migu went to snatch the ball at the scene and has only just returned. "This is the first time we've spent a night together since we got our marriage certificate." Maupassant was playing with an apple and laughed. "Since it's our first night together, let's do something exciting." "What's exciting?" "Wearing sexy pajamas to seduce and then do paw things." "Brother Mo, you are so evil. I can't do such things." "What about him?" Maupassant's face sank. "First floor. I'm on the second floor. Sleeping in separate rooms." Chapter 862. "Otherwise, why would I tell you that I want to sleep alone on our wedding night? Brother Ling, tell me the truth. Do you have any difficulties getting married to Migu?" When Huang Ling heard this, she pondered for a moment before smiling. "There's no difficulties. We just like each other." She and Maupassant had already become good friends who could talk about anything. She really wanted to tell Maupassant the things that had been bottled up in her heart for too long. However, would Maupassant believe that he was reborn after death? That was too absurd. Huang Ling pursed her lips. She was really looking forward to Maupassant's reaction when he found out that she was the former Song Wuyo. Yes, with his poisonous tongue, he would definitely call her a monster or a vixen in the future. When Maupassant heard this, he threw the apple and caught it, holding it tightly in his big palm. Huang Ling said that it wasn't good for them not to like each other. With this, he didn't believe that they liked each other at all. Migu wasn't blind. Migu is really blind to like you. Maupassant didn't hold back as he mocked Huang Ling. Anyway, Huang Ling was used to it. Huang Ling blinked and then smiled. "It's good that he's blind. Otherwise, how could I become Madam President?" Maupassant's tone was strange. "You really like being Madam President?" "I have money. If Migu abandons me one day, he will have to compensate me." "You woman, what do you want me to say about you? You're obviously not that kind of person. Why do you have to make yourself like this?" Sigh. "Brother Mo, you've been very busy recently." "Yes. What about now?" What do you think? I've already talked to you on the phone. Is international roaming expensive? Damn woman, I don't lack phone bills. Maupassant gritted his teeth. Huang Ling chuckled. Will the country reimburse you? Is that what you're worried about? Brother Mo, I suddenly feel like drinking with you. Huang Ling pursed her lips. Pay attention to your image and manners. You're Madam President now. Can't Madam President drink with you? For the sake of your image, I really don't dare to drink with you. Maupassant chuckled. You rascal, if you come to K country one day, I'll slap you. I'm sorry, little brother Ling. I'm not free during this period of time. I'm not free during the day. Are you free at night? You want to use me to accompany you through the empty and lonely night? Fuck you, you're the one who's lonely and empty. Ha! Maupassant's clear laughter could be heard. Hearing his laughter, Huang Ling's mood suddenly brightened. Brother Mo, I realize that no matter how gloomy and vexed I feel, as long as I chat with you, I feel as if the sky has cleared up after a storm, Huang Ling said with a smile. Then in the future, if you're feeling gloomy, you can look for me. Yes. After chatting for about an hour, Huang Ling hung up because her phone felt hot. Otherwise, she wanted to continue chatting with Maupassant. After hanging up the phone, she rested her chin on her hands and stood there, looking at the scenery outside the balcony. It was brightly lit, like heaven on earth. So what? At least, she had to have love and the company of her family to be happy. Tap, tap, Huang Ling turned around and looked into the bedroom when she heard the sound of steady footsteps. Magoo was still wearing the shirt and pants he wore when he went to her house. Obviously, he had not showered yet. Seeing that Huang Ling was not in the bedroom, he went straight to the balcony. Huang Ling did not get up but looked up at him with a smile. Done with work? Under the light, her smile was a little dazzling. Magoo's eyes flickered slightly. Yes. Chapter 863. Hurry up and take a shower. Sleep early. Huang Ling was purely concerned about his body. However, in Magoo's ears, his thoughts were far from Huang Ling's. He looked at Huang Ling deeply. Huang Ling, I'm sorry. I want to sleep in the guest room tonight. Huang Ling had long guessed that he would not sleep with her. Therefore, her reaction was unexpectedly calm. She blinked her eyes and looked at Magoo. Isn't it too much for you to sleep in the guest room? How about I sleep in the guest room and you sleep in the master bedroom? Magoo curled his lips. The guest room and the master bedroom are similar. There's no need to say that it's too much. Magoo, you don't have to apologize to me. Actually, I'm not prepared either. Huang Ling smiled calmly. When Magoo heard that, his deep eyes flickered. He reached out and rubbed Huang Ling's head gently. Then, let's get along like this for the time being. Huang Ling smiled. All right, but if the servants find out that we're sleeping in separate rooms, will they gossip? At the very least, they would look down on her and gossip about her. Magoo curled his lips. No, after the servants get off work, they're not allowed to enter my main building. Furthermore, this bedroom can only be cleaned by Uncle Fu. When Huang Ling heard that, she relaxed. She casually picked up a book and smiled at Magoo. This book is pretty good. Since we're not sleeping in the same room, you should hurry up and return to the study. I want to read alone. All right. Magoo appreciated Huang Ling's straightforwardness. After Magoo left, Huang Ling returned to the bedroom and found a set of pajamas. After taking a shower, she lay on the bed. This bed was really soft. It was very comfortable to lie on. However, even though it was such a comfortable bed, she could not fall asleep. Like her, Maupassant, who was in the Scorpio unit of Country L, could not fall asleep at all. Strangely enough, he was also suffering from insomnia tonight. With his hands under his head, he stared at the ceiling with his eyes wide open. His mind was muddy. He didn't know what he was thinking and why he couldn't sleep. Song Wuyo carried Xiao Bao downstairs. When Sister Song saw her, she smiled strangely and said, "Madam, give me Xiao Bao. You can go in and have breakfast. The breakfast today is very sumptuous. You prepare a sumptuous breakfast for me every day. Young Master Gu is the one who prepared the food today. He won't let me into the kitchen." Sister Song carried the child. When Song Wuyo heard this, she smiled. After handing the child to Sister Song, she walked into the dining room. Gu Yanhao was serving breakfast one by one on the dining table. Bacon, heart-shaped eggs, shredded pancakes, lily and lotus seed porridge, fruit salad, corn snacks, they were all light and nutritious breakfast. He's awake. Gu Yanhao was wearing an apron as he brought a bowl of fried noodles over. When he saw Song Wuyo enter, he smiled lovingly and said, "Sit down and eat. Hubby specially prepared this for you." Song Wuyo nodded and sat down. She looked straight at Gu Yanhao and said, "Ah ho, you look quite handsome in an apron. If you're handsome, you'll look handsome even without clothes, not to mention wearing an apron." Gu Yanhao brought a bowl of porridge to her and said gently, "Lotus seed porridge is good for your stomach." Song Wuyo looked at the porridge that was cooked well and smiled sweetly. "Thank you, hubby." After Gu Yanhao filled a bowl for himself, he sat down opposite Song Wuyo and said, "Eat more. You've lost a lot of weight recently." Song Wuyo smiled. "It's because I miss you every day." Song Wuyo drank the porridge and looked at Gu Yanhao with sparkling eyes. "It's not as good as Sister Song's. Why don't you cook for Sister Song? Why do you cook for yourself?" Chapter 864. Gu Yanhao raised his eyebrows and looked at the porridge in her bowl. "Doesn't it taste good?" Song Wuyo said, "It's good, but it's not as good as Sister Song's." Gu Yanhao said, "Sister Song often makes it. I only make it occasionally. How can it compare to Sister Song's?" Song Wuyo was speechless. Gu Yanhao looked at Song Wuyo and said, "I want to do more for you." She was eating the porridge he made. What she saw was his handsome face and his doting eyes. Song Wuyo felt that she was surrounded by happiness. She smiled and sighed. "Ah ho, it's so good to have you by my side." The tension and fear of the past half-month were gone. He was back. This feeling was so good. In the south, I saw many families being washed away by the flood. I saw the children crying helplessly after losing their parents. I saw the people who were sad after losing their loved ones but had to live on. I saw the old people who were heartbroken after seeing their children die. I had a deep feeling for them. Natural disasters are ruthless and accidents seem to be everywhere. We have to cherish every minute and every second. Gu Yanhao looked at Song Wuyo and said emotionally, "Well, it's good to cherish it. In the future, I'll make breakfast for you every day." Song Wuyo smiled and said, "Is this how you cherish me? It's a way for me to love you. Honey, I know you have me in your heart, but you don't have to be so tired. Just leave the cooking to Sister Song." "No, I'll make breakfast for you. You're so stubborn." "All right then, I'll eat more of what my husband cooks. If I get fat, you're not allowed to dislike me." Gu Yanhao smiled dotingly. "No, the fatter you are, the better I'll feel. It feels good to touch you." Song Wuyo drank a mouthful of porridge and said, "Ah ho, I want to go to the Mu estate." Gu Yanhao asked, "What are you going to do there?" "Huang Ling has moved to the Mu estate. I want to see her and see how she's going to be Madam President. Like the Queen, who screams at the servants and makes them work hard." "Screw you, Huang Ling is not that kind of person. If you don't send me there, I'll ask Lu Jiming to send me there. I'll take you there." Gu Yanhao certainly didn't trust Lu Jiming to take her there. After eating breakfast and resting for an hour, Song Wuyo and Gu Yanhao went to the Mu estate. Mu estate. Huang Ling didn't sleep until dawn, so it was already past 10 a.m. when she woke up. He was awakened by hunger. He went downstairs to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Uncle Fu was instructing the kitchen staff to prepare lunch. Migu went to the Dragon Palace and would not come back for lunch. Uncle Fu asked the kitchen staff to prepare lunch for Huang Ling and Mu Axin. Uncle Fu saw Huang Ling and hurried forward. "Madam, you haven't eaten yet, right? I'll ask them to prepare what you need to eat." Several maids in the kitchen glanced at Huang Ling from time to time. Huang Ling was wearing a light purple shirt with irregular stripes, a pair of denim shorts, a pair of small white shoes, and her hair was tied up in a bun. Her exposed legs were very slender and fair. Her legs were straight and very seductive. This outfit made her full of youthful vitality and fashion. However, in the eyes of the maid, such a Huang Ling was still very ordinary. She was full of youthful vigor. Any young girl could have such a youthful vigor. Temperament. This Madam President didn't have the elegance of a scholarly family, nor the nobility of a wealthy family. She didn't have any temperament at all. Huang Ling glanced at Uncle Fu and smiled. "A bowl of delicious noodles will do." Chapter 865. Delicious noodles. Uncle Fu asked, "Are there any special ingredients?" "The ingredients should be light and nutritious. It's fine as long as the taste is delicious." Uncle Fu nodded. "Okay, I'll arrange for someone to go down now." Huang Ling smiled at Uncle Fu. "Okay, call me when it's done. I'll go outside for a walk." Uncle Fu nodded. "Okay, madam." After Huang Ling left, the maids in the kitchen looked at each other. They all pursed their lips and looked at her with contempt. Huang Ling walked out of the living room and slowly looked around the main building. After coming here last night, she did not carefully observe the surroundings. The maids had already started working. In the garden, some were watering the flowers, some were trimming the leaves, and some were picking flowers and putting them in vases. When they saw Huang Ling come out, the maids all looked at her. Some of the maids' eyes were extremely picky. They seemed to be unable to find a single good point about Huang Ling. Huang Ling did not walk far and returned to the house. "Did you see it?" When she walked, her steps were not elegant enough. It seemed like her horoscope was a little flat. "I didn't see her horoscope, but her legs are quite nice. They are straight. She doesn't have any horoscope. You didn't see it when she walked slowly. I can guarantee that if she walked fast, it would be very obvious." "So what? She doesn't have any temperament at all. She can still be Madam President. She smells like a fox. She must have seduced Sir with her skills in bed. Miss Cheng is such a noble and elegant woman. She can't seduce Sir, but she has the ability to seduce Xing Xing. What kind of world is this?" As soon as Huang Ling entered the house, she heard two maids, who were wiping the Roman pillars at the door, gossiping about her. Before she married Migu, she had thought about how she would be criticized in the future. When she went out for a walk just now, she could see disdain and contempt in the eyes of the maids, as well as criticism. She did not care about these at all. She did not even care when she heard them gossiping about her. It was just that, when she heard them mention Qing Wan Duo, she stopped in her tracks. She was the mistress of this place. How dare they compare her to Qing Wan Duo? Do you really think our Huang Ling is a sick cat? Without another word, Huang Ling turned around and strode out. The two maids were so engrossed in their gossip that they didn't even notice Huang Ling's arrival. Huang Ling crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at them with a faint smile. Does it feel good to gossip? Huang Ling's words gave them a fright. Startled, they turned around abruptly, and the contemptuous expression on their faces when they were gossiping turned to one of extreme terror. "Ma! Madam!" They stood up straight and lowered their heads, their attitude submissive. Huang Ling raised her chin and snorted coldly. "Weren't you very enthusiastic when you were gossiping just now? How did it become like this?" The two maids looked at each other and pursed their lips, not daring to speak. They looked down on a normal woman like Huang Ling as Madam President, but she was really Madam President, and they did not dare to confront her directly. If the president blamed them, they would have to pack their bags and leave. "Miss Qing. The Miss Qing you're talking about is the Qing Wan Duo who is pestering Migu, right?" Huang Ling looked at them with a smile and asked. The two maids lowered their heads and looked at each other, not daring to speak. Huang Ling raised her eyebrows and shook her head. "When I want you to talk, you don't make a sound. When I don't want you to talk, you chatter non-stop. How should I punish you?" Chapter 866. We are maids that were carefully selected by Sir, we are Sir's people. If there is any punishment, it is Sir who has the final say. Who do you think you are? What qualifications do you have to punish us? When Maid A heard that Huang Ling wanted to punish her, in a moment of desperation, she spoke without thinking. That's right. We are maids that were selected by Sir, we are Sir's people. Even if we did something wrong, it is Sir who will punish us. It is not up to you to punish us. When Maid B heard Maid A's words, her courage also increased. Huang Ling looked at these two maids with a smile that was not a smile. Who do I think I am? I don't have the qualifications to punish you. I think you have forgotten how Migu introduced me to you last night, right? His wife, the mistress of this large mansion. Your Sir is not here, but your madam is here. As Migu's wife, of course I have the qualifications to punish you bunch of lazy maids who like to create trouble out of nothing and like to gossip. Migu is now the country's president. Do you know what the president represents? If it was in ancient times, he would be the country's monarch, and you would be a group of palace maids, and I would be his empress. Do you know what the empress is used for? Other than giving birth to princes and princesses for the emperor, you also have to help him manage the 6 palaces in the backyard. You tell me, as Migu's wife, do I have the qualifications to punish you? Huang Ling arrogantly raised her chin and lightly smiled. I know that even if I say this, you are still not convinced by me. Madam, what's the matter? Uncle Fu came out and saw the two maids looking at Huang Ling with unwillingness but not daring to throw a tantrum. He came forward and respectfully asked Huang Ling. Huang Ling pulled a long face and sternly looked at these two maids. They are gossiping about me, comparing me to Qing Wan Duo, saying a lot of bad things about me. They even questioned Migu's taste, marrying a woman like me who has no temperament. I tried to discipline them, but they said that I am nothing. They are Migu's people. If they want to be disciplined, it should be Migu. I don't have the qualifications. When Uncle Fu heard this, his eyes suddenly became incomparably sharp. He fiercely stared at the two maids. You two really have the guts to actually dare to disrespect for Madam. Uncle Fu, your young master is the president. There is a flood in the south, a city, and B city's thunder disease has not been researched and developed to control, and there are many people dying. A lot of people are to be killed. There are also other big and small matters related to the country that require your young master's personal attention. Do you think he has the time to discipline a group of disobedient women? Huang Ling looked at Uncle Fu and said sharply. Uncle Fu looked at Huang Ling. Madam is virtuous and knows that young master is busy with national affairs. Madam, young master has already married you, so you are the mistress of this house. Your decision is young master's decision. They have made a mistake, so they must be punished. Young master, don't be soft-hearted. When the two maids heard this, a trace of fear flashed through their eyes. They have made a mistake, so of course I won't be soft-hearted. In order to make them accept me, I will call Magoo and tell him. Huang Ling raised her hand and stretched it out to Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu understood and quickly gave her his phone. When the two maids saw that Huang Ling was really going to call Magoo, they were scared. They suddenly knelt down and begged for mercy. Madam, I know I was wrong. Please give me a chance, I will not talk nonsense again. Yes, madam, please forgive us. In the future, we will work hard in this house. Chapter 867. Huang Ling held her phone and looked at them with a faint smile. What should I do? I'm not a soft-hearted woman. Gu Yanhao's car drove over slowly and stopped in the front yard of this palace. Song Wuyo got out of the car and heard Huang Ling's words. She stopped and looked at Huang Ling with interest. Song Wuyo was a smart person. Seeing this scene, she knew that the maids here did not obey Huang Ling. Huang Ling, on the other hand, was kind, but it also depended on who she was dealing with. And her nature was not to admit defeat. With an arrogant constitution, how could she bow down in front of the maids? Gu Yanhao got out of the car and closed the door. Raising his eyebrows, he looked at Huang Ling and said in a low and mellow voice, Huang Ling is being bullied. Song Wuyo smiled and said, I saw it. Why is it Huang Ling bullying them? You're not going. I'm not going. I want to see how Huang Ling will subdue them. Madam, how are you going to punish us? Mayday asked. Huang Ling smiled. I haven't thought of it yet. Let me ask your husband first. As she spoke, she dialed Magoo's number. Magoo had just arrived in a city. When he saw the call, he thought it was Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu, what's the matter? It's me. Huang Ling. Magoo, I think our maids are too arrogant. They don't take me seriously, pointing at me and gossiping about me behind my back. But when I caught them, they even said that I was nothing. I'm your wife. Of course, I want to reduce your burden and work for you. I want to discipline them for you. But they said that I'm not qualified to discipline them and that you should discipline them personally. Also, they said that women only listen to Qing Wanduo and not me. What do you think? Huang Ling said lightly. She was really in a bad mood. The maid liked Qing Wanduo so much. Presumably, Qing Wanduo often came in and out of this residence. When the two maids heard Huang Ling's words, their faces turned pale with fright. They had never said that they would listen to Miss Qing. You are already their master. In the future, if they make any mistakes, you'll be in charge of them. If they don't dare to listen to you, just hand them over to Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu knows what to do. Magoo's cold voice came from the other end of the phone. Huang Ling deliberately turned on the loudspeaker. Magoo's words were clearly heard by the maid and Uncle Fu. I understand. Magoo, don't worry about family matters when you're outside. I'll take care of the family matters. Huang Ling held the phone and looked at the two maids as she said with a smile. Thank you for your hard work. Magoo's indifferent voice sounded very pleasant. After hanging up the phone, Huang Ling looked down at the two maids and waved the phone in her hand. How is it? Did you hear what your master said? I'm already your master. In the future, leave your matters to me. Huang Ling's expression suddenly became very sharp as she coldly looked at them. You can look down on me or despise me, but I'm Migu's legal wife. This is an ironclad fact. If you want to work in this residence and see the president up close, then be obedient and don't talk about me. Who said I don't have temperament? Even if it's a country bumpkin's temperament, it's still temperament. Regardless of whether I have temperament or not, you have to call me madam. You have temperament and you're beautiful, so why doesn't the president marry you? I believe that a lot of women want to get into his bed, including the Miss Qing you speak of. She's beautiful and has temperament, so why doesn't the president marry her? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.